Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to talk a little bit more about non-monogamy. Specifically, I want to talk about how when two people get together, and whether they're already, in other relationships, or if they're getting together and they're going to be anchor partners, I think that's kind of neither here nor there. I do want to talk about the fact that quite often there is a most people are on different ends of the spectrum, or different points of the spectrum when it comes to where they are on their monogamy journey, non-monogamy journey, where they are on their comfortability, what they feel comfortable doing, what they want to do, how they see themselves in a non-monogamous frame. And that's probably the hardest thing to maneuver, is the different points on the spectrum of non-monogamy that people are when they get together, when they couple up. So I want to talk about that a little bit today. I'm not going to get too in depth because I want to just say that that's going to be the norm. I will say 99% of the time, you're going to get into a non-monogamous situation with somebody that you're going to have to compromise with around your belief system, your agreements, and more specifically, your agreements, because your belief systems, your desires, that's all going to play a role. And I think that there's definitely room for you to talk about your desires and what it is that you want specifically out of the relationship, and what kind of non-monogamy you want. Do you want to just play together all the time, or do you want to completely do separate, parallel, individual dating? Do you want to have as much freedom as you want to just come and go as you please, or do you want it to be more structured around time, around commitment? Those are the different things that I'm talking about, and it's gonna be different. 9 times out of 10, 99.9 times out of 10, it's going to be different, and you're going to want to have conversations, and you're going to need to compromise. And having longer, more frequent, not necessarily longer, scratch that, having more frequent conversations around what you want, what your ideal is, and what you're willing to compromise for this person because you love them, and what you need in return to be able to make that compromise not feel like a sacrifice, not make you resentful, make you feel comfortable, and with the hopes that there's room for growth and change and things, the sort of idea that things will evolve, things will grow, things are going to shift. And these conversations need to be ongoing. And once you have that security, you can try it that way. And I've talked about this before on many of my other talks about this on this particular channel. I'm going to link to the playlist with all the non-monogamy stuff. The thing is that you will have to try it out. And if it doesn't feel good, you can do one of a few things. You can, one, talk about it. This isn't uncomfortable. I'm not sure how long I'm going to be able to do this. But I caution against that until you're sure that you haven't found an internal solution for yourself, until you're so sure that it's rubbing up against your complete belief system. When you know that this is absolutely not going to work, that's when I think bringing it up is good. But you can plant seeds around it. This is feeling uncomfortable. This doesn't feel good. Eventually we need to talk about this. We might need to talk about it sooner than later. But having those checkpoints in place are going to help you as a couple understand when you're going to need to compromise, where you're going to need to compromise, and what needs to shift and change for you to feel better today. Now, this is not about veto, right? If you're in the non-monogamous, ethically non-monogamous, and consensually non-monogamous community, you're familiar with veto power. Veto power meaning one person can say, I don't want to do this at all. Let's shut it down. So this is a way to circumvent veto power. Like, veto power can shift the power dynamic in a relationship. It can make the relationship skewed, right? If one person has the ability and the power to say, no, I don't want to do this. No, this doesn't feel comfortable. That can skew how the other person feels. It can feel like this person can just like come in and say no to everything. And like, that also doesn't take into consideration the other people that are in the equation, right? Like, the two people that are making these rules have the privilege. We talk about that a lot too. I've talked about that a lot on this channel. Couple privilege, right? Those two people have couple privilege. And, you know, I want to address that. Like, if you're going to veto things and close things down, and it's an abuse of power, especially for that third person or the outside people that are a little bit on the outside of your anchor relationship. You know, if your anchor partners, aka primary partners, you need to be careful of that. So compromise, negotiation, revisiting these topics when things don't feel comfortable, and doing it frequently is par for the course for all ethically and consensually non-monogamous relationships. Don't forget to check out Shades of Pleasure. That is a podcast that I am a co-host on, and it's on my YouTube channel, so I'll post to it. We only talk about non-monogamy. I mean, it is a podcast dedicated to non-monogamy. Shades of Pleasure, check it out, and I'll also link to my non-monogamy playlist. And that's it for today. I'll be back with more. Thanks. Bye.